we gotta break down the undisputed best match of Valorant that has ever happened, period, in the history of Valorant so far. I mean, this match was absolutely incredible, with TSM versus Sentinels going into triple overtime. You heard me right, triple overtime. We need to talk about all the insane strategies that both teams used so that you can adopt it into your games. On top of that, there's some crazy things we gotta talk about, like the fact that neither team played a Sage. You heard me right, neither team, and all of the juice involved in this insane rivalry that is TSM versus Sentinels. Let's break it all down, but before we get started, do me a huge solid. These videos take a long time to make, so if you could like, subscribe, watch the video into the end, share it with a buddy, do us a huge solid here so this video can pop off and I can keep making them over and over and over again so that you guys can learn from it. Anyways, without further ado, let's just jump right into breaking down these nutty plays. So right off the bat, let's break down this play by Sinatraa, who right after the first round win on defense, he buys an Aries, which is gonna be pretty par for the course for this match. This guy loves his LMGs. So TSM is gonna be pushing through garage here, and watch what Sinatraa does as his teammate Sick makes contact with them at the garage opening. Sinatraa will not only break double doors, but tag the enemy through double doors, and then follow it up with the shock arrow, confirming not one, but 2 kills. You see, something interesting about Sinatra's shock arrow play is that he rarely bounces his arrows and instead goes for consistent damage at choke points. Here's the big takeaway for you. If you're playing defense garage, don't be afraid to break your own double doors and put pressure on the enemy. And also, I think people neglect the range of shock arrow's damage. So after you tag an enemy, don't be afraid to instantly follow it up with shock arrow, trying to convert that little bit of trash damage into actual kills on the table. Now also, for some extra bit of spice, make sure that you teabag just like Sinatraa did. Anyways, before we break down some more plays, let's talk about the fact that neither team is playing Sage. This is fundamentally important because for the most part, TSM has not been playing Sage, but Sentinels has. So we gotta ask ourselves, why is that the case? On top of that, both teams are perfectly mirroring with double info in Sova Cypher, solo smoke in Brimstone, and 2 duelists in both teams running Phoenix and a Jett. Now you're gonna see that because both teams have Phoenix and Jett, teams are gonna spread out a lot more and take solo engagements. They use their duelers to convert on the information gathered by double info to try to catch people out and pick up kills all over the map. Whether they're on defense or attack, these teams are playing a very trade and frag heavy composition, and it is very fun and interesting to watch, but it really relies on more of a spacing out instead of a joint push and really trying to look for opportunities to get a numbers advantage. Now on top of that, leading into the next round, I want you to notice something about Wardell, who literally hero ops, doesn't buy armor, but will buy an op even though they lost on the first and second round. Now, as a big takeaway that you should start doing in your games is Wardell will always prioritize his abilities on Jett over armor. So he really values the LOS blocking and the change of position that he can generate with his abilities, and he values that much more than having armor. So that's something that you should really know here, and it's going to pay off for him dividends in this next engagement. Now, notice the aggressive layout of TSM as they push in. You see, a very common strategy is for players to actually smoke or cage their own opening to A long, because if they do that, it forces enemies to either respect the short A push because they don't have information from long, they don't know for sure if the enemy rotated off, or if they're going through A short. So there's a lot of different factors, and plus people can flash out of the potential smoke like a lot of the out of flash Phoenix plays that we've been seeing. So it basically makes it really hard for the enemy to predict you. Now that being said, they will push through the Cypher cage A long, Dapper will fire his op, and because of that, they know that Dapper is there and they will insta rotate off A. On top of this, Dapper can't really leave very easily and he's not in position to snipe on mid, so they use this as information to really push up and take mid control here. Now as TSM push up for mid control, Shazam tries to bite Sentinels but gets his bulldog put down. Okay, sorry, okay, whatever. Anyways, notice how Cutler will hold mid window because once the smokes fade, he'll have perfect LOS of the bomb and holds a powerful angle. Here's a big takeaway for you. Consider spreading out the angles you're holding on B and not stacking sight, as well as think about what lines of sight have access to the spike post plant. That could better set you up for better positioning after the enemy is trying to engage on the point. Now on top of that, Wardell valuing his abilities is going to pay huge dividends here, getting him up on top of the left box and mid, taking a really powerful angle where he can contest the rotation from A. Now check out this insane kill that really comes down to crosshair placement and understanding of matchups. Notice how Dapper kills Subrosa with an op, then Sick tries to follow it up by flashing out to try to flash TSM's drone, but Drone uses that flash as the catalyst for simply spraying, and he actually catches 2 players through the flash. This is a nutty double kill that he did absolutely blind. Now, the big takeaway for you is that when you know when an enemy is, or you think they'll swing an angle tight, and you know where they are, simply constant head level spray can turn their peak against them with pre-fire. A lot of times, players are like afraid when they get flashed, they will actually try to split the difference, where they'll spray and run at the same time. They don't really know what to do. They don't know whether or not they want to run away, or they don't know whether or not they want to spray and hold their ground. If you try to run away and spray or split the difference in any way, you're not going to get any value, but Drone stood his ground here, sprayed head level, and made sure that if enemies tried to cross through, they would at the very least take tons of damage, but it secured him 2 kills in the process. Very powerful fundamentals that you should incorporate in your games. Now, instantly after that Drone double kill, Sinatraa and Zombs try to contest Wardell, but because he had his op, which they might have not been suggesting because he really snowballed straight to it, he saved up twice, and even in a loss, he bought an op. And on top of that, he was on top of the boxes, so he had high ground. He easily was able to take this fat double kill, and it really secured the round for TSM, finally winning a round, flipping it to 2-1. Now, moving later on the match, I gotta check out this fat Wardell shotgun play, because I personally love Jett shotgun plays. Who doesn't? But notice first how Zombs holding Garage had the perfect peek versus Subrosa, who Subrosa might have gotten a little bit too aggressive ahead of his Sova drone, but then Zombs uses more ammo on the drone, and because of this, Wardell sees an opportunity. He dashes in and up drops at the same time, ending up on top of Zombs, and then double shotgunning him, killing him just like that. Now, something that you should keep in mind is that if you're on top of somebody, it's incredibly difficult for them to shoot you because vertically flicking is very hard. And because of this, Wardell managed to not only secure a kill, but take Garage control and get a free upgrade to a Phantom when all he had was his abilities plus a shotgun. Now, here's the big takeaway for you. Constantly tracking things like enemies' ammo and putting yourselves in their shoes can give you an opportunity to punish them on Jett. Things like reloading, using abilities, maybe shooting an operator, or just not expecting you at all. These can all be catalysts that you use to go in with the dash aggressively and try to make a play with a shotgun. I'm not going to break down this whole round, but this one play actually opened up the gates for TSM to win this entire round. Now, jumping again pretty far along the match, I want to show off Sinatraa being an LMG freak. I mean, he is just actually insane. First off, we talked about that A cross cage that gives enemies on attack a lot of opportunities like pushing long, pushing short, rotating off, whatever, but Sinatraa insta recon arrows out and grabs the orb. Now, importantly, the enemies can't push up aggressively and kill Sinatraa because Dapper will roll them here with info. So Dapper is playing with Sinatraa, helping him secure that orb because Sinatraa was 1 away from his ultimate. Now, that being said, this recon arrow actually completely counters this strategy with this cam, and Sinatraa gets some information about the enemy and rolls up and gets 1 kill with his LMG through the cypher cage. Then he uses his ultimate to also secure another kill. Now, this is a big takeaway for you. These type of aggressive plays on Sova are insane, and using your recon for not only just information, but to set up aggressive plays or taking of space / resources like orb, it is a great way to shut down enemy strategies like smoke strats. You can see the power here. Sure, Sinatraa grabbed the orb, but you could even do something like push up an entire team through long A, or potentially go and push forward trying to take an aggressive angle. There's so many different possible plays when you start thinking about using recon arrow to secure a position, space, or value. Now, just as an additional note, Sinatraa actually rotates the point and actually gets a fat 4-piece total with the Odin. I mean, what is up with that? Start using the Odin more in your games, I guess. It's just nuts. Or maybe it's just Sinatraa, I'm not sure. Definitely let me know what you think in the comments down below. Are we in an Odin meta? Are we in an Odin meta? Now, moving on to the next stage of this game, I want you to really take notice of the eco for TSM here. Now, notice how they actually could force the upgrade of several different weapons if they want to from their SMGs. Subrosa could upgrade and a lot of different members could upgrade, but instead they would rather just stick with their SMGs. Here's the reason why they don't upgrade. If they force the upgrade and lose, it can be painful many rounds down the road because it really severely hurts their economy. Now, if they don't upgrade, they might be slightly worse off, but it's better than the alternative in case they lose. Here's the big takeaway for you. You need to be thinking about the worst case scenario when buying on eco or just buying in general. What cost do your buys potentially have versus if you lose and win? And is it possible to still play with the tools that you have? they don't necessarily all have ARs and all have the best weapons, but Wardell has an op. They have powerful ways to make engagements happen, and they can of course just fight in their weapon's effective range. But if they force buy and lose, then their economy could be screwed for multiple rounds down the road. So you really got to think about what happens if I win, what happens if I lose, and what does that say about my economy? Now, once again, jumping into a breakdown, let's look at the backwards man himself, Cutler, clutch up almost a 1v4. How does Sentinel mess up so bad here? And what does Cutler do right to almost secure a 1v4? So Cutler kills Sinatraa and then makes the perfect kill on Dapper by basically peeking through garage and having his crosshair perfectly head level, just killing Dapper. Now, Sick really messes up here by not committing to the wallbang once he fired. You see, Cutler didn't actually know he was there, and on top of that, Cutler was so weak that it would have been very easy for Sick to finish him off if he would have just wallbanged. Here's the big takeaway for you. Both Sinatraa and Dapper should have been hard calling to Sick, telling him just how weak Cutler was. Because if Sick knew that information, he would have known that he could have just committed to a wallbang here and won the matchup. And also, if Sick did know the information, he should know that he should have tried to convert on that play instead of just giving away information about him and allowing Cutler to basically win a matchup when he had so much less health. And it made it incredibly scary, making it in a 1v1 scenario. Yes, Zombs won it out, but it was very, very close, and Cutler almost clutched it, and it should have never gotten that close in the first place. Now, moving on to this next play, we got to break down. We got to break down a Subrosa 4K that he got, and this was actually incredible, and it really meant the difference in the round. You see, leading right off the start, Sinatraa on Sentinels gets a 2K, and Sentinels also use their ultimate, the Cypher ultimate, to get perfect info on Subrosa. You see, even with perfect info, however, Subrosa protects from the left, which is the most likely place an enemy would try and make a play from, with Zombs planting in default, and then, in a huge TSM mistake, Sub flashes long, catches 2 players long, unable to hide, and he kills both of them. And then he also swings Zombs, who he predicts is in default plant zone. This is an insane 4K and a statement by Subrosa, who him and Zombs have been hard trash talking each other on Twitter. I don't know if you are aware of that, but the trash talk has been heating up, and this is only adding fuel to the fire. You gotta remember that Sinatraa led this round with 2 kills, and they had perfect info on Subrosa, but Subrosa really capitalized on half of Sentinel playing aggressive and half playing passive. You see, Sinatraa tried to make an aggressive play here, but the rest of Sentinels played really passive and long, got gummed up, didn't really make a definitive decision positioning-wise, and both got caught out by an aggressive play by Subrosa. Here's the big takeaway for you. You need to choose a game plan together, especially after information is gathered with Cypher's ult. If some of you are going in aggressively with that information and some of you are being defensive, then it can give the enemy opportunity to basically turn around that information disadvantage and turn it into a play. Also, as a big takeaway to you, when enemies have perfect information of you, don't be afraid to be proactive because enemies already know where you are anyways, and you really saw Subrosa convert on the enemy even though they had perfect information about where he was. Now, as another really quick breakdown that I think that y'all could really learn from, notice how Sinatraa makes a swing play here. I want to point out this play because I think you can incorporate it in your games. Sinatraa knows that 2 players are playing near CT and goes and hugs close to the wall near a pivot. He then waits for a catalyst to happen before he swings, and Drone throws a recon, and Wardell confirms a kill with an op. He uses this as the go-ahead to swing from close very aggressively and kills both Drone and Wardell. Here's the takeaway for you. Closing in the gap on a swing is incredibly powerful, and then you wait for some opportunity, some sound cue, or some ability use to go in. Whether it's firing from an op on ability use or reload, being that close allows you to 100% guarantee the trade, as opposed to just peeking from really far away. If an enemy like shoots an op shot and you peek from far away, you not only can't chase them down, but you might not even confirm the kill from that far away. So using this strategy in your games will definitely help you convert on a lot of kills. Now, speaking of the aces of the team, Sinatraa and Wardell go huge here, and I gotta break down this play because it's just so freaking awesome. I know I'm geeking out about this game, but if you haven't seen this game, after watching this, go back and watch it. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. It was just amazing. It was just amazing. Anyways, moving right into it, Sinatraa uses recon to check enemy positions. It gets instant destroyed, but it will still reveal Hayes' position, and Sinatraa kills Hayes, but in the process, it tags Subrosa, who Sinatraa also kills, getting a double kill with his Hunter's Fury. Now, the big takeaway for you, though, is what you can do, just like Sinatraa, is actually start your Hunter's Fury before your recon reveals, because that's what Sinatraa did. He put his crosshair kind of where he predicted someone would be, but he actually had his ultimate already out before it tagged someone, so he was instantly ready to fire and put some damage instantly without the enemies being able to react. Now, right after this, while this was great, Wardell claps right back, holding a close angle on top of logs with an up. He kills TSM, who has his ult out, trying to clear a site, and then he punishes a swinging Zombs and dashes away at a fat 2 HP. Here's the big takeaway for you. When holding tight angles, be ready for enemies to insta try to punish or swing you post a kill, especially when you have an op, and Wardell was basically already ready for that. He predicted that he was going to get swung there, and that's pretty much the only reason why he barely was able to get that kill. Now, at 2 HP, Wardell actually manages to get another kill on a jumping sick here by having perfect crosshair placement and being patient. You see, if he goes for the headshot here and misses, he dies 100% because the enemy can just wall bang him with 2 HP remaining. Basically, the takeaway for you is risk versus reward with op shots. Focus on hitting the easy hittable shots and doing it consistently, not necessarily the incredible difficult shots. Like, a lot of times people will go for those really hard shots when someone like jiggle peeks from long really tightly and it's very difficult, or they'll try to go for a really hard shot when the enemy doesn't even know they're there. Sometimes slowing it down and making sure that you're consistent with those shots first is the way to go. If even Wardell is doing it with his insane aim, you should be doing it as well. Now, we got to another Sova play by the best Sova NA. I mean, that's all I could say. He's just nuts. Watch as TSM set themselves up for nice point control and even smoke off Garage, but Sinatraa has other plans in mind. He shock arrows default plant, kills Subrosa, then does a repeatable shock arrow and kills Wardell as well, getting a double kill. He then actually ults Cutler, then afterwards swing him and kills, and overall he got a 4K in this round. Here's the big takeaway for you about shock arrows. You don't need flashy rollouts to get value on shock arrows. Simple direct damage on hot zones like choke points or default plant zones can get so much value, and it's usually a good idea to actually follow up because one arrow alone is not enough to kill someone, and sometimes enemies will think they're safe, so they'll actually go in to grab a spike or a gun or whatever, so doing follow-up damage to a default zone is incredibly powerful. Now, as our last breakdown, and this is a nutty play by TSM. And this is the last breakdown we're going to do in this video simply because I don't have enough time to do any more. But check out Subrosa holding inside a garage, and both Sick and Shazam are outside of garage. Neither team know each other are there. Now, Drone actually routes a Sova drone through main and checks outside a garage, tags them, and Subrosa uses this connection to flash out, swing, and secures 2 kills. This is such a perfectly executed play and an awesome end to our video. This kind of conversion is amazing, and here's the big takeaway for you. Combining engages with information just like this is one of the most powerful things that you could be doing in your game, so you should definitely be trying it because at its core, this is a fundamental information gathered plus play made off that information. Incredibly powerful stuff, and TSM basically executed this play perfectly here. Now, unfortunately, I can't cover this whole game because this video is already too long, but TSM actually wins and closes this out 18-16, winning 2-0 versus Sentinels. The first time they beat the Sentinels roster, period. That is absolutely crazy from losing over and over again to actually winning. Now, that being said, this tournament's not over. This FaZe Invitational is going on this weekend, so make sure you go watch it because if these teams can get through Cloud9, we can get a grand finals match, and I need that. I need that in my life. Sentinels versus TSM, grand finals match, the drama, the storyline, the insane plays back and forth. This is peak Valorant gameplay. And if you enjoyed this video, please do me a huge solid. Smash that like, subscribe, comment down below, anything to help the algorithm because it's my overlord, my lord and savior. But thank you for coming by. I hope you learned something. Tell me what other games you want me to break down. But that's all I got for today. I'm Coach Mills, and of course, until next time,